when it comes to cancer pain, when they get cancer, more than 55% of people will get pain. And when it goes to terminal stage with metastasis, 2/3 of people will get pain. And out of that 2/3, 1/3 will get one type of pain, and another 1/3 will get two types of pain, and the rest will get more than two types of pain. And when it comes to palliative care, you all know it could be cancer or non-cancer. So non-cancer palliative care pain prevalence is not well documented in numbers, but fortunately, when it comes to cancer, as we discussed, only 2/3 will get pain. That is, 1/3 will not get severe pain. And at the same time, when they get pain, 80% achieve good pain relief with multidisciplinary approach. That is a very good thing. When they get pain, that we can treat them. It is a treatable condition. So I'm not going to talk about in detail who belongs to cancer and non-cancer palliative care. By this time, you know that any patient is in irreversible end organ failure will be able to name as palliative care, and also anybody out of these cancer patient, non-cancer patients who are in palliative care, and especially when they are in end of care, we get referrals and we have to manage their pain. So you as doctors will see anybody in pain when it comes to cancer, non-cancer palliative care, and in the end of care. So the definition is given by IASP, that is International Association of Study of Pain, and this was given in 1979. So if you just try to go through, it's unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage or described in terms of such damage. So actually, in 2020, they have given, after a long time, that is in 1979, they came out with a definition, and now again, in 2020, they came with a new definition. There's nothing much difference, but mainly it's unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. And it is described in 6 domains. Please, can you mute your phone? It's disturbing. And it is described in 6 domains. So this is a busy slide, but you all can go through with this. It is available in the internet. So when you try to analyze pain, actually, as medical student, we learn the definition of pain. So that is, we mainly try to work out with the pain pathway. But when you go through this definition, you will realize that is not as what we expected from patients. Like, we expect when there is a major tissue damage for them to have pain. But when you try to go with the definition, it is unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So if you try to analyze, and if you try to analyze in patients, you will get that pain is not exactly depend on the severity of tissue damage. It is more or less something that we have to think about, something vast. Right. So when it comes to pain, we know there are different types of pain, mainly nociceptive pain and neuropathic pain. And when it comes to nociceptive pain, that we all know the pain pathway. It could be somatic or visceral. The somatic can be again superficial or deep, that is skin, subcutaneous tissue, bone, tendon, anywhere, and it can come from viscera. So that is mainly because of the activation of pain pathway, you get pain. And I'm not going to talk about the pain pathway, but we all know it's physiological. And also, it protects us from getting major problems. And there's another entity called neuropathic pain. This is when there is a damage. It could be a mechanical damage, chemical damage, or anything in this pain pathway which it is very difficult to explain. And it could be peripheral sensitization, central sensitization, central neuropathic pain, peripheral neuropathic pain, sympathetically mediated pain. Or there could be so many things can happen in this pain pathway, and you can get neuropathic pain. So I know if you are having some idea about this neuropathic pain, you think that acute pain are nociceptive, chronic pain are neuropathic. That is not exactly. So acute pain patients also, they can have nociceptive element as well as neuropathic element. Chronic patients also can have mainly the neuropathic element, but they can have nociceptive element or pain due to neuroplasticity. That is sensitization, and they can get pain. So we can't ask, when we get patients, we can't ask from the patient whether you are having nociceptive pain and neuropathic pain. So that case, you have to know how they can present. When they present with these features, so we have to assume that they are having nociceptive pain, and specific features are there for you to diagnose neuropathic pain. Though all are nociceptive pain, somatic and visceral. And when it comes to neuropathic pain, it could be burning and aching, and there are special features that they can have. That is more than 6 features: allodynia, hyperesthesia, hyperpathia, aesthesia, hypoesthesia. There are so many different words are there to describe pain. That is, when you touch the patient with the non-painful stimulus, they can have pain. And painful stimulus will have exaggerated pain, right? Allodynia, hyperalgesia, hyperpathia, hyperesthesia, hypoesthesia. There are so many specific type of pains they can present with. So you know there are patients with diabetic neuropathy, post-herpetic neuralgia, trigeminal neuralgia. So there are so many patients with neuropathic pain, phantom limb pain, will have these features of neuropathic pain. So whatever it is, I told you, when you try to go with the definition, it's not exactly the nociceptor. The pain, if somebody says, I'm in pain, it hurts me. So you have to consider that patient is in pain. And also, acute pain is a 5th vital sign. Chronic pain is a disease. So that is very important, something, a take-home message that you have to have when anybody comes to the hospital, wherever you are working, with acute pain. That is the 5th vital sign. So your nurse should monitor pain in everybody, like their temperature, pulse rate, blood pressure. Their pain is the 5th vital sign it need to be monitored, and it's your responsibility to do something to relieve this acute pain. If anybody comes with chronic pain, it is a disease. Disease is like diabetes, hypertension. It is non-communicable disease, which is described in ICD classification. So when it comes to chronic pain, so you have to know it is a devastating condition, that this patient is having a disease. And any kind of pain, if you don't treat pain, they will end up in complications. Right. So when it comes to especially cancer pain, we all know cancer is a progressive disease. And they can present with acute pain, chronic pain, or acute on chronic pain. And during any point of their disease trajectory, there may be different causes can cause pain. And also they can have nociceptive pain or neuropathic pain or mixed type of pain. So prevalence, depending on the cancer they are having, there's a prevalence like you have seen when they are having abdominal malignancies like pancreatic, liver, they will have more pain. So most of the patients will come with pain, 85%. So as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the disease trajectory, so they can have pain due to the illness itself, the metastasis, the treatment.
එකක් මෙහෙ කරන්න පුළුවන් වාට්ටුවට විතර දෙන්න ඕනේ. වාට්ටුවට තමයි ලේ දෙන්න ඕනේ චුට්ටක් අහලා යන්න. කවද්ද ගන්න?
Can you please mute your phone when you are talking? It's really disturbing me. And when it comes to treatment, we all know cancer treatment are surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy. All kind of treatment can cause pain. Post-surgical pain, even when they get surgery, they will have acute pain and they can end up in chronic pain, persistent chronic pain. And any kind of procedures, they can end up in IC tube insertion, tracheostomy, whatever the procedure, they can have pain. And then gradually, if they don't recover, if they recover, it's all right. And if they don't recover, they can have remissions and relapses and all these complications. And finally, they can have metastasis and they might be put to palliative care. So they will have pain. And they will end up in end of care, they might have pain. So these patients can have pain at any point of their disease trajectory. So I told you the mechanism is we see slide as well as it's a summary of pain that we have been talking. For example, this patient can come with acute pain, severe acute pain, can come with cancer, chronic cancer pain. This patient might need surgery. Then they will end up in post-surgical pain. Then can end up in persistent chronic pain. And if he needs amputation, can end up in phantom limb pain. Like that, a patient during the disease trajectory can come with any kind of pain. And also, you have to keep it in your mind. The origin could be directly related or indirectly related or totally unrelated. Indirectly related, these patients are immunosuppressed due to the cancer and also due to treatment. So there are high chance of activating the herpes zoster that can end up in post-herpetic neuralgia. Also, it could be totally unrelated. This is a human being can have due to immunosuppression complications and pain, or metastasis and complication and pain, or totally, as this is a human being, they can have totally unrelated pain. So whatever it is, when you see any patients, we have to evaluate pain. So history cannot be replaced with anything else. So you have to assess pain assessment of mechanism of pain, and you have to keep it in your mind. Anybody come with pain, it is acute pain, and also you have to exclude red flags. And considering it's a fifth vital sign, you have to exclude the red flags of this patient. And also you need to assess all the other factors, because as clinicians, we can't forget about past medical history, treatment history. We have to assess all the factors and evaluate pain, and need to do the examination and investigation maybe. So pain management, we all know, with the thorough assessment by a skilled and knowledgeable clinician. And as clinicians, pain history is same. So once you take the pain history and all the other assessment, we will be able to exclude red flags and might be able to come to a diagnosis. So when it comes to cancer pain, there is we can't, after diagnosing directly, we may not be able to start treatment, because we all know when they are having cancer and when they are put to the palliative care pathway, it's a disastrous condition. So each and every point we may have to discuss with the family, and we have to have a very good plan regarding the advanced directive, advanced care plan with the pain management too. And investigation. We are not going to do investigations for all, but if the management is going to change with these investigations, there is a place for investigation, especially when it comes to palliative care. If you are going to do the management change, we are supposed to do investigations. Otherwise, we can continue the pain management without, if we really know what is happening, without doing investigation even. And treatment. So I really emphasize, pain is not exactly only the stimulation of nociceptors and going through the pain pathway. It has so many modulation happens, and ultimately you will get something else as pain. So even without any major injury, you will maybe ended up with severe pain. So because of that, you have to understand not only the pharmacological management, there is a very good place in the non-pharmacological management too. And there's an interventional place for interventional pain management also. Whatever we do, I told you, cancer pain is a progressive, and also when they are having a cancer, or when they are put to palliative care, due to cancer or non-cancer, it's a dynamic changes. Dynamic changes are happening, so it is a must to reassess, review, and we may have to change the plan. And as I told you earlier, it's a must that you need to exclude red flags. It could be cancer related or non-cancer related. So I explain you now how you try to evaluate pain. But as medical officers, as clinicians, so you are having so many roles when you are managing patients. So I will give you a very structured framework approach to assess and treat anybody in pain. That is a well-known method, because if you can keep this simple structured approach, that easily you can manage anybody's pain. Anybody, when you see patient with anybody, you can manage if you can apply this simple structured framework approach. Actually, this is we teach through these EPM workshops and EPM programs. So this is RAT approach. The RAT, we know it's very common, often hidden, but left untreated. If you don't make attention to this RAT, can cause lots of suffering. Pain is also like that, very common, often hidden, and left untreated pain can cause a lot of suffering. So you can put the same approach, RAT approach, recognition, assessment, and treatment. So that's why very important you to recognize. The patient may not come and say, I'm in severe chronic pain, I can't sleep. But it is your responsibility to talk to the patient and ask and assess the pain and then treat the pain, right? This is RAT approach. So what we are going to assess, severity, type, and other factors. So you all have to keep it in your mind, RAT, recognition, assessment, and treatment. See, what are you going to assess? Severity, type, and other factors. So severity, you know, assess with the severity pain scale. So you have to know pain scale. And then type. It could be acute or chronic, or acute or chronic. You have to ask the duration. And it could be cancer, non-cancer origin. So the cause you have to get with the history, and even cancer patient can have non-cancer pain. And mechanism, it could be nociceptive, neuropathic, or a mixture. And other factors, physical, social, psychological, spiritual factors. Then as I mentioned, pain assessment scales are there: verbal rating scale, numerical rating scale, visual analog scale, and FACES scale. So you have to know all these scales, and there are so many scales. When you get a patient, a difficult customer who is not talking, there are behavior pain scales. So it's another homework that you have to read about the different pain scales. And this is very crucial. Mild, moderate, and severe. It's very crude method, and even after treatment, a patient may be in mild pain, moderate pain. It's not exactly described, but numerical rating scale, visual analog scale are better well-known scales. And FACES scale, especially for children, or if the patient can't talk, we can use this. So as I mentioned earlier, assessment, the duration, cause, and the mechanism. And as I mentioned earlier, when you assess and when you take the history, you will be able to get whether this is a acute pain, chronic pain, acute or chronic pain, neuropathic pain, nociceptive pain. Excuse me. And assessment of type of pain. Yeah, as it could be acute pain, chronic pain, neuropathic pain, nociceptive pain. So we assess this pain and try to treat with pain. Why? Is there any benefit of treating pain? So when you get a patient with pain, just imagine, if you don't treat this acute pain, patient will go into complications. As all the systems are in trouble, like cardiovascular, respiratory, all the systems are in trouble, because patient can lead to acute coronary syndrome, pneumonia, and DVT, immobilization, stress, hypoglycemia, CNS, all the systems are in trouble. And when you don't treat pain, chronic pain also, they will not be able to sleep, they will not be able to eat, so they will have so many physical problems. When they are having physical problem, they will end up in social problem. They will not be able to earn money, they will be the member of the society, they will have social problem, and the earning capacity will be lost, will lead to the psychological and physical, social, psychological, and spiritual problem. So not only the patient, when your a family member is suffering, it reflects to the family as well, and also for the society also will be affected when it comes to disaster situation with untreated pain. So once you treat pain, they will be able to better sleep, they will have better sleep, improve appetite, fewer medical complications, and reduce suffering, less depression, and also they will be able to do their job. Maybe even cancer patients will be able to do some kind of a job if you can relieve their pain. And even in palliative care patients, they can do their hobbies and they will less suffering, and they can continue to work as a member of the society. And ultimately, everything we pay, that is taxpayers' money. So, but you all know, when you learn how to diagnose pain and how to manage pain, there will be so many barriers, because your patients may not be educated. When especially when it comes to cancer pain, they think that they have to suffer. It's inadequate education, and also there are so many fears and myths. Not only the patient, also the care provider also have so many myths with this pain management. So there are certain religious and cultural problems are there. So this is a barriers that we got after doing a EPM workshop. So now we are having another different barrier. That is, it's very difficult to go to the closer to the patient and examine. But you can make your environment to see your patients and talk properly to your patient. And what we do in our setup, we assess the patient with all these coverings. But when we want to see the patients, we wear, it's not the full PP, but mask, face shields, and the gown. We get the patient down and we see these patients. And when we are managing during this period also, we have to consider staff protection, patient protection, but your main aim is to treat the patient properly. They are
Madam,
weak and
sorry to intervene. We have about 6 minutes.
sorry?
We only have about 6 minutes, madam.
Right, okay. So I'm not going to talk much about this, how to manage these patients during this pandemic. So we'll talk these things later. And but when you see patients, always, whatever the restrictions are there, it's our responsibility to take the precautions to not to get infection from the patient, also not to make in the patient infection. So you have to take all the precautions to keep the patients also in a possible place, but acute pain need to be treated with after taking all the precautions. Not a single patient should live with pain. Wherever you are working, it's your responsibility to assess the pain and exclude red flags and treat the pain. And this is called total pain model. And as we discussed, it is when they are having pain, they will have physical, social, psychological, spiritual problems. And especially when it comes to cancer pain and palliative care pain, the family plays a major role. The caregiver plays a major role. So it's when you see the patient, when you plan your management, you need to educate the patient, family, and regarding what you are going to do, as well as the disease progression. And always when you are investigating, it will be we have to do it very wisely. And for any patients, treatment should not delay for any reason. Then and there, you need to treat pain. So when you are assessing pain, it's the best thing is to ask them to have a pain diary. So they will maintain pain diary at home. Then even whatever it is, whatever the condition is there, you can use over the phone. You can have questions with the pain diary. Even may not be the patient may not. If patient can't answer, somebody, the bystander also will be able to answer to the phone and tell what is there in the pain diary, and then you will have some understanding. Then even bystander can come and collect treatment if the patient or the bystander is maintaining a very good pain diary. And the doctor, as well as prescriber, as well as caregiver, as well as patient, all three people should have a very clear understanding about the side effects and use of opioids. And whatever you are treating, you should have a target. That is, no patient should not have pain at rest, but mild pain is acceptable during mobilization, that is deep breathing, coughing, and movement. Because when you try to achieve zero pain on mobilization, the patient might sleep during the rest. And we know most of the drugs have nausea, vomiting, so we have to treat with something, and they should not have nausea, vomiting with the treatment. And patients should have minimum sedation with the treatment. And for that, you have to maintain nausea, vomiting score and sedation score. So you should aim for nausea, vomiting scale of 0, and sedation score even 1 is acceptable. And as I discussed earlier, treatment will be non-pharmacological. Pharmacological, we can have so many interventions are there. We can use this intervention. I'll discuss later on the specific interventional and surgical treatment. There are lots of non-pharmacological treatment available, and I'm not going to talk, but you have to keep it in your mind. The pain management is multidisciplinary and multimodal. So alone you can't manage.
Madam,
you might
you have
need
2 more minutes.
Okay. You need physiotherapists, psychiatrists, and so many people they are included in the pain management team. And well-known WHO pain ladder. In a later discussion, I will talk about all the drugs and pharmacological pain management. So whatever it is, cancer pain management and whatever the palliative care management, we use the WHO cancer pain ladder. And we are having so many adjuvant therapy. So we have to use when there is a neuropathic pain element. So we use so many adjuvant therapies. So for you to understand all these drugs, you need to know this pain pathway and the receptors. So then you know to tackle with multimodal analgesia, multidisciplinary pain management, and there are multimodal pain drugs are there. So you are supposed to understand all these receptors, and then you will know where all these drugs are going to act. With total pain, and that is why I was describing a multidisciplinary pain management. Very important thing is patient education and family education, and combine all these treatment, non-pharmacological, pharmacological treatment, and even, we try to manage evidence-based medicine practice, but when it comes to cancer pain, it is mainly the patient-centered. Even you can